Welcome to Sinful's Horror Stories. Today's video features true scary Lover's Lane stories. Each one of these stories is claimed to be true. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe now for future content. Email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I will leave a link to my email in the description box below as well at the end. Sit back, relax, stay sinful. Story number 1. This was my father's story from years ago. He grew up in the 1970s and shared this story with me a while back. He was 17 years old at the time of this occurrence. He was dating a girl who was 18 at the time and she had a car. Dad and his girlfriend were very close and dated for upwards of 5 years before things ended. The time of year was late summer, and the weather was still very muggy and warm. Dad said Sarah and him decided to drive way out into a rural area outside of town where they grew up. This was a well-known lover's lane, so to speak. Dad wanted some real privacy for him and his girlfriend, so he drove about 3 miles out on some old deserted dirt road to enjoy the sounds of nature. The drive was nice and relaxing for them both. Dad pulled off the dirt road into a small clearing in the brush. There was a small creek that ran through the area, and they decided to sit next to it and visit. Sarah and Dad ended up kissing for about 10 minutes until she heard a small noise across the water. Dad describes what happens next with true terror in his eyes. This still shakes him up after all of these years. Dad said they both looked in the direction of the noise and saw a large man in fishing gear throwing rocks into the creek. At first they felt a sigh of relief, realizing it was probably just some man who was out fishing. They thought, who fishes this late at night though? Dad said hello and got no response. Maybe the man just couldn't hear him. He said, "Sir, how are you doing?" No response. Dad was starting to feel pretty creeped out in this moment. Things went silent for what felt like forever, but was probably only 30 seconds in real time. The man looked up at them and smiled, then started throwing rocks at them from across the creek. These rocks were upwards of 3 to 5 pounds, so the damage would be major if they were struck by any one of them. Sarah screamed and my dad grabbed her arm and pulled her towards the trail that led back to their vehicle. The man started laughing and screaming while he heaved more rocks. He sprinted through the low-lying water and pelted the area with stones. My dad was struck on the back of his head, but only a glancing blow, thankfully. They had reached the car and struggled to find the keys in Sarah's purse. They could hear him gaining on them. Closer and closer the man became. Sarah unlocked the door and slid across the seat to let Dad in. Dad was still dazed after being hit. The engine roared to life and the man appeared in front of the car. He had a huge rock raised over his head and he launched it. The rock destroyed the windshield of the small car and glass shattered everywhere. Sarah slammed the gas pedal to the floor and struck the man's legs with her car. Dad said it was either him or us. What choice did we have? The man screamed and flipped over the top of the car, and they made their escape down that long dirt and gravel road. I know this seems unreal, but unless you were there, what do you know? Dad said we legit made it through a living, breathing nightmare that night. Story number 2. Growing up as a teenager, there's nothing more exciting than taking your girlfriend on a fun date night. My girlfriend and I truly enjoy anything outdoors. We love to hike and explore new areas where we live. There's a very secluded lake that we frequent to fish and hike around on the regular. The parking lot at the lake is so far off the beaten path that many young lovers park here at night to stargaze and basically make out. We arrived at the lake early in the morning around 9 a.m. on a weekend day to fish and enjoy the sun together. As we readied our fishing gear to catch our lunch, my girlfriend noticed there was a group of middle-aged men that just arrived near the boat launch. They drove a large beat-up older pickup truck, maybe from the 1970s. The vehicle cried out something from a cheesy B-level horror movie. I waved to the men and they tipped their caps in response. Cool. Interaction done with no worries, right? Wrong, my friends. My girlfriend is a very beautiful young lady and gets noticed quite often when we are out. An hour passed by and I needed to find a tree to relieve my bladder behind. I told my girlfriend exactly where I was going to stay alert of her surroundings. I had a large hunting knife attached to my hip, which is out for everyone to see. My girlfriend has a stun gun well hidden on her belt line as well. She was nearly attacked a year prior to this incident, after she got off of work, so she doesn't play when it comes to safety. I quickly find a place to use the bathroom, and as I'm making my way back to the dock area, I hear a scream, and not from my girlfriend. I start sprinting back to her and see one of the large men on the ground wincing in pain. Apparently my girlfriend had bent over to change her lure on her fishing pole, and one of the men slapped her ass. She didn't miss a beat and got this dude with her stun gun. The other men that the man was with freaked out and jogged back to their truck. I told this fool that he needed to pack his things and get lost or I would call the police. At this point, we decided to leave the area as well and move to a new spot to fish. Within 30 seconds of driving, the same old pickup truck appeared from a cloud of dust from a side trail. My adrenaline was surging and I floored the gas pedal, spun out and nearly ended up in a ditch. The truck roared up to us, and a man got out and sprinted up to my driver's side window, smashed the glass right in my face. Glass shards cut up the left side of my face and upper neck area. I felt like I was going into shock at any moment. The man said, "Boy, this is your lucky day," as he pointed a sawed-off shotgun at me. "Today, I will let you live." He smiled and pushed his left thumbnail into a cut on my neck, and then ran back to the truck and they sped off in the opposite direction. My mind displaces many parts of that traumatic day, and I will never understand why those men went to the extremes that they did. Story number 3. Late night adventures are what I am all about. My friends and I love to explore old broken down buildings and urbex type areas. I've always enjoyed history and learning as much as I can about life and things that have happened before my time. I often imagine that I'm exploring these areas in the time and place when they were active and thriving, whether it is an old mall or a closed mine shaft. This hobby can be quite dangerous, but provides such a rush of adrenaline. So, 2 of my closest friends and I drove up towards an old minimum security prison type camp about 20 miles north from our town. Some of our other friends have explored this area and said it was a total trip and that they loved the exploration. We waited until midnight to make the trip up to the old prison. We packed flashlights with loads of batteries, a few small weapons to protect ourselves just in case, and our GoPros to get any cool or scary footage. The roads that approach the prison are all unpaved and chewed up from years and years of harsh weather and father time. You have to pass a famous makeout spot in the woods that young lovers go to get better acquainted. As I approached the turnoff area, I noticed a small compact car with its lights on and driver's side door open. This seemed strange to us, especially at this late hour. The 3 of us exited my car and carefully approached the vehicle. My friend noticed that there was a large pool of blood on the gravel near the driver's door. I shined my flashlight on the area and you could see a path of blood leading deeper into the forest. We were scared of the potential danger, but also young and dumb teenage boys who thought we were invincible. I said, "Screw it, guys, we have to follow the trail of blood. Someone might be hurt." So, we carefully followed the bloodline. There were small drops in a constant pattern that led about a quarter mile into the lush forest. I thought to myself, what if this person was attacked by an animal or another human being? The attacker or attackers could still be in the immediate area. A scream rang out through the forest and echoed through the canyon. We froze and killed our flashlights. About 50 yards past where we were, we saw a dim light and heard what sounded like a shovel being thrust into the earth. Another scream billowed into the night air. It sounded like a woman fighting for her life. My friends were beyond scared and wanted to turn back and sprint to the car. I convinced them to press on. As we inched our way closer, we could see a large figure digging a hole large enough for a human being. The woman we heard screaming was tied up near the base of a large oak tree. One of my friends stepped on a twig and it made a loud snapping sound. The man digging stopped and shined his light right on us. The most alarming and bizarre part of this event was not that the man chased us or shot at us. He jumped out of the hole, grabbed his shovel, and made this unreal and primal screaming sound, sprinted off into the woods. We rushed to the woman and untied her. My friends and I carried her back to our car and went straight to a hospital. Her physical injuries were minor, but nothing compared to the mental and emotional trauma and damage she will now battle for the rest of her life. Turns out that she was out bird watching and was attacked by this maniac. The cops went out to the site of the attack and found multiple handsaws and old surgical tools at the base of that same tree. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe for future videos. Email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. My email is in the description box below as well. Until we meet again, stay safe and stay sinful.